Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true.
Man charged following discovery of woman's body in Monique St. Anne. The St. Anne police have charged a man who was taken into custody in relation to the discovery of a woman's body in Monique St. Anne on Friday, June 16. Charged with murder is 20-year-old Ajara Edwards, a landscaper of Foreman Hill in Monique in the parish. The deceased has been identified as 48-year-old Navlet Chambers, otherwise called Misty, unemployed of Camp Hand, Monique. Reports on the Monique police are that about 2 a.m., an argument developed between Edwards and Chambers after a failed business transaction. A few hours later, Chambers' body was discovered with what appeared to be a wound to the head. The police were alerted. She was taken to hospital where she was pronounced dead. An investigation was launched, and Edwards was arrested and taken into custody later that day. He was subsequently charged on Thursday, June 22nd, after confessing to fatally wounding Chambers. His court date is being finalized. 14-year-old burn victim completes first surgery at hospital in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States. Akela Dunkley, the 14-year-old burn victim, has completed her first surgery at hospital in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States. The girl sustained third-degree burns after a gas stove exploded at her home in St. Elizabeth. Her trip to the U.S. was made possible through the efforts of the San Myrna Foundation, which has helped other burn victims in the past as well as other donors. Providing an update, San Myrna's project manager Stephen Joseph said Akela's first surgery went well. He noted, however, that she has more surgeries to do before fully recovering. Mr. Joseph appealed to the public to continue send emotional and financial support to the family as they all strive to get Akela better.
She has done her first surgery and it was a successful one. And just for Jamaica, continuing praying for her and continue supporting the GoFundMe for the family as she goes through continuing fight with additional surgeries. She has a long road ahead of her in terms of surgeries. And as you know, that burn care is very expensive and stuff like that. So like the family will need to buy drugs and stuff. So prescription medication and stuff. So continue giving your love and support.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness reminds Jamaicans of moral and legal obligations to protect nation's children. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has expressed concern that the killing of children in the country is often related to domestic issues. Mr. Holness, who was speaking at the ceremony on June 23rd, lamented that 7 children have been murdered since the start of the year. He noted that in the majority of these cases, the child knew the perpetrator. In light of this, Mr. Holness is reminding adults of their moral and legal obligations regarding keeping children safe.
The killing of our children are widely related to domestic issues, that it is usually a domestic conflict, not necessarily between the child, but it could be a dispute between adults and the child becomes the unfortunate victim in those disputes. So there is need for another message, another appeal, that every Jamaican, every parent, every family member has a duty to protect our children. By definition, children are vulnerable. By definition, children are not able to protect themselves. And as an adult, you have not just a moral duty, but under our Child Care and Protection Act and other pieces of legislation, you have a legal duty and obligation to protect children. You also have a legal duty under law that if you see a child being abused, if you see a child in danger, if you are aware of a child being groomed, of a child being targeted, you have a legal duty under our laws to report it to the police. All Jamaica, please protect our children.
Indicom probing Bagwalk Gorge fatal shooting. The Independent Commission of Investigations Indicom is probing the shooting death of a man along the Bagwalk Gorge in St. Catherine on Wednesday. The deceased has been identified as 23-year-old Jerrine Bent. According to Indicom, the police reported that a shootout ensued during the search and pursuit of a stolen vehicle from St. Andrew. It is reported that one of the cops was injured during the incident and other occupants of the alleged stolen vehicle escaped. Indicom says its investigation involved the processing of the incident scene processing of firearms assigned to the police officers, processing of vehicles, witness canvassing, and initial interviews. The concerned officers were issued with notices to provide a statement and to visit the commission to be interviewed. The body of the deceased was also photographed and his hands were swabbed for gunshot residue testing. No weapon was reported as recovered from the deceased. Meanwhile, an Indicom team is currently investigating another fatal shooting on St. John's Road in Spanish Town, St. Catherine. This incident, which occurred, was reported as a police joint military operation, said Indicom. The investigative body says these two most recent fatal shootings bring the total to 57 persons who have been shot and killed in 2023 in incidents involving members of the security forces, of which 9 persons were killed in June. Senior citizens rob of cash, jewelry, firearms in St. Elizabeth. 2 senior citizens were held up and robbed of cash, jewelry, and a licensed firearm at their home in Senior Town District in Junction, St. Elizabeth. The victims, ages 70 and 76 years, were surprised by thieves who broke into their home as they slept, police reported. Reports reaching reporters are that around 1:48 a.m., the seniors were awakened by a strange sound and saw 2 men at their bedside. The men demanded money and jewelry. Police said when the thieves' demands were not met, they tied up the elderly residents. The men then searched the house and stole a golden chain with a pendant, 4 gold bracelets, 1 gold necklace with a pendant, one of the victims' licensed firearm, Jamaica $49,000, US $6, and 2 cellular phones. They left the home. The police were summoned to the area. There it was recovered that the men had cut off the padlock from the veranda grill and entered the house. The police are investigating. 85.8% of students who sat PEP exam placed in secondary schools of their choice. 85.8% of the students who sat the primary exit profile examinations were placed in a secondary school of their choice. Education Minister Favor Williams made the revelation during a press conference on June 23rd.
30,984 students were placed according to their choice. That's 85.8%. And you will recall that since 2015, parents have been given the opportunity to indicate 2 additional choices to the standard 5 that they had in place at that time. These 2 additional choices, they're selected from a cluster of schools that are within a 10-mile radius of their child's attending schools. 4,134, or 11.5% of students, were placed in secondary level schools that are in proximity to the schools that they currently attend. A further 1.57%, or 566 of students, were placed manually in secondary schools in proximity to the address they submitted at registration. When you look at the preference choices, like in preference 1, the number of students who got their first choice, 8,105, second choice, 5,432, their third choice, 4,378, their fourth choice, 3,962, their fifth choice, 3,426, their sixth choice, 3,435, and their seventh was 2,246. And that adds up to make the 85.8% that I mentioned earlier on.
Chase Fund donates ambulance to St. Elizabeth Infirmary. The St. Elizabeth Infirmary in Santa Cruz is to boost its emergency medical services as Culture, Health, Arts, Sports and Education Fund has donated an ambulance to the entity. Minister of Local Government and Community Development Desmond McKenzie, who shared the news during a tour of the best-kept facility on June 21, noted that the ambulance is one of 2 units donated by the fund. McKenzie said the infirmary is located miles away from the nearest hospital, and as such, having a dedicated unit ensures prompt, life-saving medical assistance for the facility's 49 residents, 27 males and 22 females. An ambulance fully equipped is important for the survival of the facility, the minister emphasized. We continue to make significant investments in our infirmaries. The government will not spare anything at all to ensure that our infirmaries are in good working order, he added. Mackenzie further noted that plans are underway to officially open the new administrative block at the infirmary, pointing out that the necessary remedial work was completed on the infrastructure, which is ready to be occupied by the administrative team in short order. I am really impressed with the work that the matron and the team has been doing to maintain this facility, the minister stated. He also cited that the therapeutic park of the infirmary, which was established in 2019 as the first of its kind, adding that the park serves as a place of healing for the residents, offering a serene environment with umbrellas, tables, and chairs for relaxation. Mackenzie said that similar parks would be introduced to other infirmaries across the island, noting the positive impact they have on the well-being of the residents. For her part, Assistant Matron from the St. Elizabeth Infirmary, Veronica Roach, expressed her gratitude for the forthcoming ambulance, noting that its arrival will bring hope and assurance to the residents and staff alike. Meanwhile, Mayor of Black River, Councillor Derek Sangster, said the ambulance will provide essential support during emergencies and ensure the safety and well-being of the residents. The infirmary is located some distance from the hospital, but even more so in times of hurricane, we have to make arrangements with private individuals to transport the residents to other locations should the infirmary become inundated with stormwater, he pointed out. So the ambulance will be a welcome addition to the infirmary to assist in that sort of process, he added.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell